Well, hello everyone, and this is a very special episode of Consider the Source, fresh off an appearance at the Outcast Creative for his Nielsen ratings on Tuesday, is my good friend and fellow YouTuber who's much better at it than me, Northern English Bastard. How are you, sir?
Hello, you beautiful bastards. Yes, I'm fine. Yeah, thought I'd stick around because I've been rejecting your advances for other streams recently, and as well while I'm here anyway.
Well, I do appreciate you finally succumbing to my tenacity and trying to get you on. But yeah, so a lot of people have asked me because since the shows have gotten extremely popular, that me being a former MP myself, and of course an author, and of course a big reader of the Lee Child novels that the Jack Reacher character is featured in, now Andrew Child actually as well, but we'll get to that. A lot of people have said, hey, which series is this book adapted? Which is this in the timeline? So you have two different things. You have the Lee Child Reacher books when they were first developed, and then you have the chronological order of how they go into Reacher's life, and to a lesser degree how they fit into what is now, I guess you'd call them the Amazon timeline, maybe, or the TV series Reacher timeline, because as is the five adaptations, two movies and three films, or excuse me, TV series, has now all been put in a kind of universe, chronological universe. So that being said, the two Tom Cruise films have been, they are not going to be adapted into the show, and they have been inculcated into the timeline in which the TV show. So you just basically headcanon Alan Richardson and you're good to go. But that being said, a lot of people want to know how these come about and where they are in the timeline. So I'm going to go ahead with your help and clear this up without much ado. So, without anything further, here we go. Oh yeah, little blast from the past here.
I will watch as many Godzilla movies as I can during the month of December to build up to the December 25th.
I know what I'm doing December 15th.
What's that?
And it rhymes with Jack
Grunt?
Reacher.
Oh,
Oh wait, I did that wrong. Hold on.
Yeah, it
rhymes.
Black Preacher.
Yeah, Black Preacher.
Black Preacher. Wait, no, that's not right either. But yeah, you know what I mean. Motherfucking Jack
Back
Reacher
Preacher.
season 2. Back Preacher. Yeah. No, yeah, Jack Reacher's coming back December 15th. Fuck
Someone's
yeah.
reaching.
Hey, Chris, did they drop all those at once with the other or was
No,
it week to week?
It was a
It's
weekly
weekly.
thing. Yeah.
That's
Which
just
we
weekly.
talked about. I prefer the weekly. I just am getting used to
Jack-
like Invincible. I think it's smart to just drop only 4 episodes of Invincible.
Jack Reacher is basically like the Lord of Toxicity if he was like a good guy.
If
You notice
normally-
that?
Yeah.
They're like yin and yang together.
Yeah,
The two
I'd
of
like to
them.
point out that he and I are friends, and yeah, that's like he's talking about his friend right now and a fictional character. Thank you,
Wow.
I appreciate.
Yeah. So
I
a little
remember
blast
this.
from the past there. I thought that was pretty funny.
Was that
Anyway.
when season 2 was just about to come out?
That is when season 2 is, yeah. So I think that was like December of 22 or 23. Yeah, that was like December 23, I think. But anywho, so here we go. We're gonna go into, so what you're looking at here, there's the books, there's me, there's Neely and Reacher, and I have no information. Well, I have very limited information on the Neely spinoff, but we'll get to that. So the first book is The Enemy, and the last book is No Plan B. There's also little mini short stories that have been peppered out, some of them even done by other authors, but we'll get to that. But what I'm going to talk about right now is the chronological history of Jack Reacher as a character, as whatever material is currently out right now in novel form, and then whatever's been adapted into the movie. So so these first 4 are all Jack Reacher in the army novels.
Is your slide showing up? Because the screen seems to be black for me.
Is it? I can see
Oh,
it.
there it is. Now it's coming up. There we go.
All right.
Major Jack Reacher Army novels. Now it's coming up.
Okay. Well, fair enough. So yeah, that's that. And yeah, these are all the ones that are novels, full form novels, where Jack Reacher, our main character, is still in the military. Now, if you're at one thing that I kind of can't answer, I can tell you when the timeline is in the book version, but you have to adjust your timeline for the Alan Richardson. Now, obviously, Alan Richardson is not as old as the character in the books. So you gotta kind of have to push that forward somewhat so it matches up. But again, we'll get to that. But it's, timey-wimey, wimbly-wombly shit. But anyway, so Lee Child, the enemy, this is coincidentally what I have also, if I didn't read them, I'll have like a little synopsis for them. But for the ones that I have read, which is most of them, I can tell this is the first one that I actually read. My mom gave it to me in 2004, and it is told in the first person narrative, and it is set in 1990 during the fall of the Berlin Wall. And it's basically your standard murder mystery. Jack Reacher is at this time a major. He is trying to solve a case of a murdered general, and why the general was not only killed, but a couple of his special forces liaison guys were killed, and why Reacher himself was moved out of his special investigators position with the 110th and temporarily assigned to this podunk little town where he's a provost marshal. A provost marshal in military police is actually a chief of police for the base. So like if you have like a chief of police for the town, he's the chief of police for the base for the military police. And it's a great read. I really enjoy it. I've reread it a couple times. It really gives you a good handle. If you were going to start and you had not read any other Jack Reacher or very few Jack Reachers, this is a great one to kind of give you an idea of what the character is like. All the stuff that you see and you know of Jack Reacher, it's in this book. So set in 1990, the book itself published in 2004. The next one, the follow-up, is strangely enough was published in 2023, but set in 1992. In asterisks, you'll see that I have unknown because I have not read this. This is the first collaboration with his brother, Andrew Child, who, as I am understanding, as the time of this, as the time of I'm, filming this or recording this, he is taking over, I guess, for the Jack Reacher character. They may still collab in future stuff, but Lee Child's handing it over to his brother, which when I first saw this, I thought that was maybe his kid or something, but I guess it's his brother. So that's kind of interesting. The next one in the Reacher timeline, where he's still an army cop, is set in 1996. It was published in 2016. This is a great read. By the way, are you still seeing these slides? Can you see them?
Yeah, I can still see them. Yeah, I'm on
Okay, cool.
Lee Child, Jack Reacher, Night School.
Yep. Yeah, Night School. So he teams up in 1996 with a federal agent and a CIA analyst, and they are all basically the Jack Reachers of their group, and a Defense Department liaison, which he of course gets it on with and bangs, because of course he does, because he's always getting laid with if there's a new female character in any Reacher book, he's gonna nail her almost for sure. So with the exception of Neely. And they get together and go on a special assignment to try to figure out who has sold certain chemical weapons and weapons of mass destruction to a potential Hamas type terrorist group. Pretty good book, good story. I liked it. This would be a great option for a series, although I don't believe that they would start in the middle with his army stuff, but they might, or they might allude to it in a flashback. So far, the TV series have been very compartmentalized, where they've just completely stuck with the books, but that may not stay that way. And you'll see why in a minute.
Yeah, but they seem to have gone a little bit out of order from the books as well, haven't they?
Way out of order. Oh,
yeah,
way.
Kind of like the James Bond novels as well, because they kind of go out of order from in the movies.
Yeah. So this is 2011's The Affair. This is a really good one. It starts in media res, which is just a fancy literary way of saying in the middle of the story has already begun, and Reacher is in trouble. He's going to the Pentagon. He's pretty sure either he's going to get assassinated, kicked out of the army, or thrown in prison, or all of those three, not in that order. So it's pretty tense story. He winds up teaming up with a female sheriff's deputy, which of course he nails. And he's come into some information of an affair that a Joint Chiefs has gotten into, and he's one of the only people that knows about it. And this incident, this case, is the one that gets him drummed out of the army. For the uninitiated, being drummed out of the army just basically means that you're not kicked out. You still get an honorable discharge. You'll still get your pension, and your benefits, but they are no longer going to allow you to stay in the military because of whatever reason. A lot of it, usually it has something to do with your physical stuff, but it could be your failure to move forward in rank, which of course, because Reacher's a troublemaker, he has not made full-bird colonel by that time in his career. So that was their excuse for booting him, which is not a big secret because we all know what the next novel is. This is Lee Child's The Killing Floor, and you'll see that I have the adapted picture of this novel is for the first series, the Amazon one, set in 1997 in the novel, also published that same year. This is when the timeline with the novel and the books start to align, but now the timeline, you have to readjust it and go to 2021, 2022, around there. This is when Reacher has been drummed out and he's begun his kind of hobo life. And I like the detail in the TV series where he's not all really that scruffy and road weary yet. His clothes are still somewhat fresh. And, you can see that he just a few months prior been in the military. What was your thoughts, just real quickly, on Killing Floor? Because I know you not only watched the series with us and reviewed it, but you also read the book.
Yeah, I'm still reading the book. The series is a lot better, mostly because Richardson does give this character personality, and in the books, he's kind of very a bit of a plank, to be honest. He just happens to be a generic badass, and I think the only thing that really caught my attention in that book was when he goes into detail about cutting someone's throat and how you have to really hack into it. You don't just swipe it. It's yeah, like I said, Richardson really does bring this character. He really does give this character some charm, and
Yeah.
And the book is just kind of dry, really. I mean, even the side characters aren't that interesting, and
Right.
maybe the other novels are a lot better. So I probably might read the good ones, because from what I'm hearing from you, you don't really need to read them all in order. You can just go in and out.
No, yeah. No, you don't. You
Mm.
don't. And it doesn't change it. It's very cleverly done in that way, where it doesn't really change anything. You might pick up one and then later go, "Oh, that's why his nose was broken at the beginning of yada yada yada." You know what I mean? But it doesn't, it's you're not gonna, you don't care. That's not what you read Reacher novels for. It's like our parents or grandparents when they would read Louis L'Amour books. You don't have to read the faceless man walking into a town. You don't need to know his backstory. It doesn't matter with these books. But the best way that I can answer how to adjust your timeline. So think of whereas the book Reacher was a vet of like Balkan War, Desert Storm 1, like that, right? So adjust if you adjust your mind towards Reacher being a veteran of Afghanistan and Iraq 2 basically being the war that I was in, Operation New Dawn, Operation Iraqi Freedom, OIF, OND, like that, the things that happened after 2003. So if you just kind of adjust your setting there, then you'll kind of get an idea where the TV series is juxtaposed against the book. So I hope that doesn't sound as confusing as it sounded when I said it out loud.
Yeah, no, it's just updating the setting, really, isn't it?
Yeah. So this is when we so moving forward with all of these novels, you can know that these novels are now all set in the time in which they are published. So this is like 1998. Die Trying. This is a good one. I think this is like might have been like the second one I read. I like it. It's got a lot of your standard Jack Reacher, and I'm just gonna listen. I'm gonna throw this out there for anyone. Most of the Jack Reacher formulas follow a very simple template, and that template is Jack Reacher is on a bus or hitchhiking, shows up into a town. There's some sort of evil afoot. He fucks some people up, and then that's basically it. He bangs whatever chick is available, whether that chick be a civilian or a cop, doesn't matter. In this one, he pops up into a Chicago suburb. He's met these guys that are messing with a dentist. Reacher's he comes across an unknown woman. She's abducted by two men in broad daylight. He gets involved. The FBI gets involved. And then they find out that that woman is, in fact, a special agent with the FBI. So again, you'll see a lot of these themes are revisited amongst these books. So, I mean, it's kind of if you've read one, you read them all type thing. So it makes a lot more sense why they've done what they've done with the show. So,
Yeah, like they moved series 2 to one of the other storylines where he's working with a team, and it's not just him by himself, and
yeah.
it's understandable as well why they decided to go in
Yeah.
that direction.
So, because keep in mind, there's almost 30 of these bastards, and that's not counting the short story shit. So that's a lot of material, bro. Like that is a lot. So, Tripwire, another great read. This is one of my favorite ones because it half of it takes place in South Florida, and Reacher's like just down there digging out swimming pools and just working at a club. It's exactly what you think that he would do. It's just has a lot of like, I'm drinking water because somebody told me if I drink a bunch of water, it'll help my muscles. And, it's that kind of thing. A PI finds him down in Florida and says that, he needs help on a case. And, Reacher's like, nah, I'm not trying to do that. And the case he finds out has something to do with his former boss, General Garber. And General Garber had his own investigation into something. So, of course, because of Garber, Reacher, gets involved, and he heads up to New York where Garber was, where he retired to, and takes a look at that and tries to figure out, what was Garber into and how that. So this is a really good one. I really like it. It shows a lot of the early Reacher stuff, and I like it. Next one is Running Blind. Yet another good one. This is like on a long list of the really good ones, and not coincidentally, the ones that I read in order. This one chronologically also takes place right after that. Garber has left Reacher a house, and Reacher's trying to deal with the fact of like this. He's dating Garber's daughter and trying to figure out, is this what I really want? Do I want to have this house? Do I want to be involved in this? And so these federal agents come in and say that there is a situation in which there's a bunch of women, some of them which Reacher has known, a couple of which Reacher has actually had sex with in the military, and they are all dead and died in such a way that it can't be explained. It's a pretty good one. It's kind of a really one of the more gory interesting ones. And it kind of ends the whole idea of Reacher living in a house and having like a normal life and shit like that. He realizes that, that's just not going to be possible for a guy like him. So Echo Burning is the one that follows after it. Reacher's back out on the road. He's walking through, some of the more Southwest areas, gets picked up by this hot Latina chick who he doesn't wind up banging, actually. And she's married and has an abusive husband, and she wants Reacher to kill him. So it's pretty cool. It's an interesting book, and it doesn't go where you think it's going to go. So I don't want to ruin the surprise of that, but this is another one of the good ones, maybe even one of the great ones. And it's really compact and quick. So
I might move on to that one straight away because that sounds a lot more interesting.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, and it's a very standalone one too. It doesn't rely on any of the other ones. So we got Without Fail. This is the one that is Alan Richardson's favorite. This is the one he is hardcore campaigning to do next. I hope they don't, because it's not great. It's not bad. The reason it's good is because it introduces Neely. Because believe it or not, and I've explained this, Neely doesn't show up until this book, and this is like the 7th novel, and so she wasn't in Killing Floor. They shoehorned her into that. So this is basically he gets tasked to make a fake attempt on the vice president, working with the Secret Service detail. and he has Neely jump in to help him, not only because, you know, he could use the help, but also because he's not fucking retarded, and he knows that this is some sort of setup where they're going to try to make it seem like this drifter ex-military guy is trying to kill the president. So he's obviously one step ahead, and he has Neely come in to basically watch his back. So yeah, so that's without fail. This is the one, like I said, this is what Richardson wants to get done next. He'll probably get his way. I kind of hope they don't, because this has really been done before. If anybody has seen the TV show Shooter or the books that they've been based on, you know, where they make him, you know, try to kill the president. There was also a Keenan Ivory Wayans ripoff movie of that. You know, that trope has just been done before, and I don't find it to be very interesting. The only great thing about this book is it's Neely's first appearance. So make of that what you will. The next book in the series is Persuader, and it's a good read, and it's a good adaptation. I enjoy them both. I think you have done a review, and you're about to finish a review on this.
Yeah, I've done my episodic reviews, my thoughts, and but I'm going to do a proper edited review of it. I'm nearly done with it, to be honest. I don't know if I might stay up all night trying to do it, or maybe finish it tomorrow. We'll see.
Okay. What was your, can you kind of give me, obviously you didn't read the book, but can you kind of give me your can you like a brief synopsis of what your thoughts were, or do you want to wait until your video comes out and you don't really
I
want
can
to
give my brief opinions for now, anyway, because this probably might come sometime after I put my review out anyway, but we'll see. But yeah, it's an okay series. It's better than series 2. It's got some plot holes and some very questionable character choices or creative writing choices, but it's still very decent. And Reacher is basically the epoxy that holds it all together.
Oh yeah, facts.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah, I like it. I was not, when I found out this was the one, I did read this one, and when I found that this was the one they were going to adapt, I wasn't super pleased. I didn't think that was a good direction for it to go, because people bitched about him having a team in season 2, and I knew he had a sort of team in this adaptation, or in this book that the adaptation is based off of. Plus, I knew that they were going to shoehorn Neely in, and I knew reading it that she's not in this book. I went into more detail on this with Blue Collar Loser on his stream for the season finale. And yeah, it's just it's not a bad book at all, but it's not if you've already seen the series, there's really no point in reading it unless you just really want to absorb that content. I think the adaptation,
because I don't think Neely needs a spin-off. She's not that interesting of a character to have one, and I don't think she's meant to be.
We'll get to that. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we will get to Neely's spin-off and that. But yeah, that's basically all this is a launching board for her spin-off, isn't it? So it's just like, it's one of those things that I mean, the adaptation's very faithful. I think Duffy comes off better, even though she's incompetent in both the book and the adaptation. I personally like her better. I think you do too, because she's actually very likable. She has some really great one-liners.
Yeah, I know, because like she does, despite some of the stupid things she does have some good chemistry with Richardson, and yeah, I thought she just got off to a bit too lightly at the end, though. For spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't seen it.
Yeah. They kind of they kind of wrote her a little too stupid. But to be fair, she's stupid in the book. To be fair, so I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, if they hadn't have written her stupid in the book, or excuse me, in the show, people would have been like, oh, well, that's good they wrote her this way, because she's a lot dumber in the book version. So I mean, I don't know, either way. It's
fair. Oh, don't say.
Yeah, I'll put that information in the comment and pin it.
Oh, to be fair.
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 Oh, to be fair.
So anyway, moving on. End of the day, if you've seen that season, you don't need to read the book. If you haven't seen that season, or you've not read the book, just watch the season. It's good. It's fine. It's actually slightly better. Not because of Neely, but Neely's not bad in it either, but just because you don't need to. Now, if you have read the book but you've not watched the show, just watch the show. I mean, the show is really good. So here we go. We get the first now this is like the 12th book. I'm not counting, but I think this is like the 12th book, 12th or 13th book, and this is what they used to adapt the first Jack Reacher adaptation in 2012 with, of course, little mini Tom Cruise, which, obviously that got a lot of slack because enough people had read the books and like, that's not Jack Reacher, but I thought he did a good job. I was on your show where you talked about both movies. I really like this movie and I really like the book. And I think, with the one, and I said this on your show, with the one noticeable exception of him throwing his rifle down to go mano-a-mano with Jai Courtney's character, whatever his name is.
Yeah, because he's a sociopath, isn't he? He's not going to give you a chance. He's going to take you out.
No, he does. He just slits the guy's throat. So beyond that, though, it's extremely faithful. Tom Cruise is never going to be a faithful adaptation to somebody like Jack Reacher, but like I said, once you get past that, then it just comes down to how much you like it, and I can't find much fault with it, but I really can't. Wrong video. I really like it. I think it's extremely well done. It's one of those very few adaptations that I think you can watch the movie and it's better than the source. Although I love the source. I love the book. I've read this book actually like 3 times. But if you've already read the book, you could watch the movie and get a lot out of it because it has a really cool car chase and stuff. But if you haven't read the book but you saw the movie, you could still read the book and not be any less off for it, if that makes sense. And you like this too, right?
Yeah, I liked it. I thought it was a pretty good film. I liked the mystery. I liked seeing Reacher sort of like look over the crime scene and deduct what was suspicious and what wasn't. That was actually very good stuff. I liked it.
Yeah. Okay. So moving on. Girlfriend's already busting my balls. Hardway, good read. Fuck. I don't know if I need a synopsis. You don't need a synopsis. It's a good read. Check it out. Bad Luck in Trouble. Here we go. So Bad Luck in Trouble. Oh boy. It's got its problems. Okay. Both the book and the show have its problems. But it's one of those things where I liked both for what they are. It's a kind of A-team type thing, with Reacher and his team coming in to solve the murder of some other members of their squad that they had. The surviving members get together, and I like that. And it loses itself with the show only because you don't have that history if all you've watched is a show. But at this point in like 2015 or whenever this book came out, you've already invested all these years in reading Reacher, and he's been this solo guy for so long. So to have him with a team was really something interesting. So that's why this book did so well, because people were like, oh my God, like Reacher and a bunch of other of his MPs and stuff like that. It's really cool. I like the series for what it is. I think the series does a better job than the book does. I prefer that. Can you still see the video file?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay. So yeah, it's I wanted to put our pretty faces up there as well. But yeah, it's one of those things where maybe there's a little filler in it and some of the stuff is slightly implausible, but I do like it. I liked Dixon. I like Neely in it. I like the short guy that's funny. I liked him. They all act exactly how they're written in the material, and they're all pretty likable in the material, and then they are likable on the show. So I know you're not a big fan of this season.
No, I don't like this season. I just think it just does suffer from some waste of a good villain or a potentially good villain anyway. 2 good villains actually get wasted.
Yeah.
You got the Robert Patrick villain, and you got the British one as well, who's like very suave, but at the same time, he kind of just gets his ass handed to him way too easily by the
Yeah.
end.
Yeah. Well, I'll be honest, but it's no better in the book. Like, it's no better.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, they probably could have changed that for the series and made the villain a bit more imposing, especially the henchman as well. But I do like the
yeah.
team dynamic. They have got some good chemistry with these actors and these characters, and it's still fun. And I like the Russo character, even though I think he wasn't in the book, was he?
He's basically in the show. He's an amalgam of two different cops,
Ah.
like smashed together, and made into something else. But yeah, it's interesting. You know, I like it. You know, for what it is. It's a weaker book, but it's still something that, you know, I enjoyed reading. I've probably read. I think I read this one twice. I've not revisited the series actually. This series, I've not revisited this, and I may do at some point. Just maybe I'll get the girlfriend into the show, and but yeah, the show's better, but only slightly so. So, you know, anyway, moving on. Nothing to Lose. This is a good one. Nothing to Lose, just really quick, is he's in a bar and he gets into it with a cop, and so he has to go, you know, take it on the road, and kind of gets himself into some trouble. He's between two towns called Hope and Despair. And of course, what's going to happen? There's a lovely, beautiful cop, and he gets into it with her. And of course, there's, he winds up running afoul of some kind of conspiracy that involves military cops. And some of them are even people that he once commanded, and it has like a mystery. And, you know, he gets to bang the hot chick and deal with the mystery and get back into it with some of the people that he's gotten into it with before. It's one of the first one that really addresses Reacher's age. At this point, you know, Reacher's been, you know, it's like the 16th, 17th novel or something like that. Reacher's been on the road for a while. And, you know, the younger MPs are just like, yeah, this he's been out of the game for however long or whatever. But yeah, it's good. It's a good one. It gets referenced really quick, slightly in the first Jack Reacher movie, where he's like, I'm a drifter with nothing to lose, which is, you know, I guess ultimately they were going to try to adapt this one before they started doing the show. But yeah, it's a good one. So this one, it's gone tomorrow. I don't know anything about this one because I've not read it. It's one of the ones that snuck by. Apparently Reacher's in New York City, and there's a subway car heading uptown. Reacher's on there, and someone is got something going on with you know, something in California, Afghanistan, dozens of people with one thing in common. They're all lying to Reacher, and Reacher's got to figure out what's going on with this conspiracy. I can't tell you one way or the other. I have no idea. So moving on. Check it out if you want to. Here's another one, 61 Hours. I did mean to read this one because I read the back of the cover. I did have it at one point, but I've lost it. Apparently this is a really good one and people like it. But Reacher is again on a bus, and this time the bus breaks down, and you know, there's, you know, a killer running around, who is not an actual serial killer but really an assassin, and Reacher's got to figure out what the assassin is doing. You know, it's again, this is like I say, when you start to look at it and you go, how could Reacher possibly just be wandering into this many different conspiracies and weird stuff? It's really strange. So this is the one that I am lobbying hard that they turn into the next series, because it's Reacher all by himself. He's in Nebraska. He of course runs afoul of another conspiracy. Does it by accident because he sees a woman who has a broken nose, and it's by her husband, so he breaks the husband's nose, and he invariably kicks off a thing between these two cartels that are doing human trafficking. And so the people of the town, their children are basically being taken from them for human trafficking reasons and shit like that. And it bookends with somebody that's like a sniper that's going to take Reacher out. And so it starts at one point, goes back in time, and then gets back to that point. It's a really well done, tight novel. It's one of my favorites. I've got it actually on my desk right next to me right now because I've been meaning to reread it. Just I'm hoping if I reread it, that'll the Amazon gods will turn it into the next series, because it would be really good if they did. You know, before he gets too old, Richardson could play the shit out of this one. And again, it follows that standard Reacher's by himself, doing a a good deed to help the local folk. It's that wandering man without a the man without a name type stuff. So these are the big reads that I'm mostly familiar with. Anything that did you have anything to add or ask or anything before I move on to the rest of them?
No, I don't think there's anything else. I mean, I think after the Killing Floor, I might do that last one you talked about with him talking about the kiddie trafficking and something like
Yeah.
that, because it's like you said before, Reacher is kind of a sociopathic asshole, but this sounds like a book where he can kind of redeem himself a little bit as well,
Yeah.
or at least show some humanity.
Yeah. A wanted man, Reacher gets accused of a crime that he didn't commit, and he is on the run. And this is right after the events. This is one of those ones where you read it out of order and it will snap at you a little bit, because this one takes place after the events of the book I just mentioned, Worth Dying For. And in that one, Reacher gets his nose broken and he's got freaking electrical tape on his nose to hold his nose together, and it makes it really hard for him to be. I'm wondering how they're going to address this in the show of Reacher hitchhiking, because in real life people don't pick up hitchhikers. So I'm kind of curious how they're going to address that, if they keep, because he hitchhikes a lot in the books, but the books are mostly 90s and early 2000s up to now, and even in the books it's addressed like people ain't really picking up hitchhikers. So here we go. Oh boy. So this is I'm going to let you take over for a second, because I've been running my mouth and I got to drink some water. But tell me what you think of this one.
Very forgettable. I mean, Kobe Smulders is all right in it. Tom Cruise does his best. I mean, he sells the action real well, but it just lacks that kind of intricate intrigue of the first Tom Cruise Jack Reacher movie. It just felt like a very forgettable action film that just plods along, and yeah, I can see why they didn't do a third one after this.
I feel like Lee Child wrote this one while he was on the toilet or something, because the book is bad too. So it's like a bad movie. I mean, I only can think that they chose to adapt this one because they had the Colby Smulders available, maybe, and they wanted to have him have a love interest, because in the other one, he kind of doesn't. He has that kind of will they, won't they thing going on with Rosamund Pike and her huge sweater kittens. But so this one is one where he's could kind of have a love interest. It's an interest, but the story's convoluted and it's all over the fucking place. Like
yeah,
I said,
I mean, I think the only thing that was really good was when he finds out the little girl wasn't his daughter, and he doesn't really know how to feel about it as well. That was actually very good. I mean, that was actually kind of touching. Shame the rest of the movie is very forgettable.
Yeah. So the one that follows after this is personal. I think this is a good book if you don't read Never Go Back. Because in Never Go Back, they kind of have that trope of that they used in the movie, but it's not in the book, of him being returned to the military temporarily through a loophole. So Personal also has that. There's a couple short stories that come in between that and this one, but I'll get to that in a minute. I don't want to derail this by talking about the short stories. I'm going to put all the short stories in like one bag. But in this one, Jack Reacher gets tasked to come back and work for the State Department. They temporarily return him to active duty. Of course, he doesn't wear the uniform, and he just kind of walks around wearing the shit he usually wears and has a badge and a gun and stuff like that. They've got somebody that has taken a shot at one of the president of France, and the bullet's American. They know that, as it's established in both the books and the movies, Jack Reacher is a former, rifleman himself, was Olympic class. And, it turns out that it's someone that he chased back in his MP days. So they kind of have this sniper game going on between them. So it's pretty cool. I like it. Even though that trope has been done a lot, it is pretty good. And if you like sniper stories, this is a good one. Can you see these slides okay?
Yeah, I can see it. I can see it. It's coming up all right. So far, there's been no problems. They're all coming up.
Okay, cool. So Make Me is a direct follow-up of that one. It's a decent read, but it's skippable. It's not even barely even worth talking about. It's one of those, Reacher goes into a town and, falls into another conspiracy. So I think if you're keeping track, this is like the 15th conspiracy he's just wandered into. And unfortunately, the next one is kind of more of the same. It's called the Midnight Line. And the only interesting thing about it is the the premise of it, in which he finds a ring of West Point. And for those who don't know, if you are a West Point graduate to have become an officer, you went to the War College, or the Point as they call it, you get a ring, and that's it's really hard to get it. It's the officer's equivalent of special forces. Just going through that college is like a big deal. They used to have a saying in the Army: it don't mean a thing if you ain't got the ring. If you're an officer, so like you're never going to make general if you didn't go to the Point. Basically, was the old way of looking at that. Now, obviously, we know Reacher doesn't become a general, but that's neither here nor there. So he finds this ring in a pawn shop, and he's wondering why it was pawned that way, and kind of tries to figure out the mystery of the owner of the ring and who it belongs to, and he makes it his mission to kind of get it back to him. So in that way, it's kind of interesting. And then, of course, in doing so, what happens? Can you guess? He falls into a conspiracy. That happens. These next couple, past tense, don't know anything about it. You can read the slide if you want to, but I mean, you can pretty much tell it's the same thing as anything else. Reacher's in the middle of nowhere, and he kind of falls into a conspiracy. Are you noticing a pattern here, Northern English Bastard?
Yeah, you can really tell that there's probably some books that are really worth skipping if you want to see a little bit of change in the plot and
The narrative.
Reacher's journeys.
Yeah. This is another one, Reacher's on a bus. I guess this sort of addresses the thing of him, hitchhiking. He comes across an elderly couple, and then gets in the middle of a turf war between a Ukrainian and Albanian gangs. I'd be willing to bet you in this climate, they're not going to option this one for one of this seasons. I'm willing to bet this is not going to see the light of day. But hey, it is what it is. This is the only significance I can say about this one. This is the first one where his brother has jumped on the books with him, and as I said at the outset, his brother Andrew Child is going to be taking over the reins of Reacher. I would actually like to read this because I'd like to see if his brother has is doing it justice. I would like that. And we're so far into the 2020s at this point. I'd be interesting to see what an aged Reacher is doing these days. Here's another one: Andrew Child, The Sentinel, and then No Plan B. These are the last of them. I can't tell you guys anything about these. I'm sorry. These have come out just in the last year or two. He cranks one out pretty much every year. So I don't know what any of these last three are about, but they seem to be, from their synopsises, to all be kind of the same thing. Reacher gets in a fight with somebody, thinks it's just some random yahoos, and then it turns out to be the yahoos work for a bigger organization that works for some sort of conspiracy that's happening. And they really did do it right in one shot, the Jack Reacher first movie, but after that he kind of relies on that trope like a lot, which is crazy. So like I said, Northern English, I'm going to give you a list of the specific ones I think you should read, check out from the library, whatever you've got access to. And I think I'll try to just give you the pick of the litter.
Yeah, this should be on YouTube as well in audiobook form. I'm just hoping they aren't using the fucking AI voice so early.
Yeah, the AI really drags it down. For those who are interested in the short story stuff, there is some short stories. Some of them are interesting because he collabs with other well-known authors like Karen Slaughter, who is a really good mystery novel writer. There is a compendium called Jack Reacher, No Middle Name, which has all of these. I'm just going to quickly skim through them. This would be the one that I would probably check out because Karen Slaughter is another one of the authors that I really, really like. She has a series of books that have been turned into a horrific TV show called Will Trent, based on her main character that she usually writes about, who is this tall, blonde, Scandinavian orphan type looking dude who's all scarred and abused up, and they've turned him into a short 5 foot tall Mexican for the TV series, and everybody else has been race swapped. So it's crazy. It's on NBC right now. I would highly suggest skipping it. It's really an abomination, and I don't know if Karen Slaughter signed off on that, but I would be interested in reading this short story just because I like her writing style, and her and Lee Child together could be kind of dope. So I might check that out. But again, these are all the Reacher short stories that are in that compendium that I showed at the beginning. Kathy Reichs is another great mystery writer. So her in there is pretty cool. I'm not super familiar with Joseph Finder. I don't really know a lot about that, but that could be kind of cool. Some of these might be, I feel like a lot of these are like fan fiction type stuff. They have no connection to the overall narrative of the big novels, which is why I have them off here in their own little thing. Now, whether or not that's going to stay that way, I have no idea. I am not, except for the Karen Slaughter one, I've not read any of these, and I'm not planning on it. But I mean, maybe if you like your stuff in short stories, small doses, which I know there is people who do, I do not. I'm not a big short story fan unless it's Stephen King. So, and even with that, I'm very picky. I feel like short stories are just kind of, I don't know, they're like masturbation without the payoff. So I don't really get into them very much, but I can't really speak to any of that. I wish that I could, but how those fall into the narrative, a lot of them are little prequel stories for Reacher. So if you want to know that stuff, that's what this compendium of short stories would be good for. So I guess that's the value that they would have. Questions, comments, or concerns, Northern English Bastard. Thank you so much I didn't realize this whole thing was going to be me basically running my dick sucker. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, that you know more about these novels, but I think we were going to lead to what do you think could be the next novel they adapt, and do you think they could have another couple of series left, or will it end very quickly?
I think I really feel like it's 50-50 on it may be it's either going to be it's either going to be the one that I think it's going to be, and that might be me wishful thinking, but I really feel like it would work the best as a thing, the human trafficking one, or they might do Echo Burning, the one where he's hitchhiking and the lady's abusive husband has pushed her to the fact that she's going to try to hire Reacher to kill her husband. She just looks for a big guy that might kill her husband for her. But again, Richardson may very well get his way and do Without Fail, also because Without Fail is, of course, a Neely novel. Not that that really matters, because Neely has been shoehorned into other non-Neely book versions of the show, including first and second series. So
it would make sense as well, because they've got to big up the spin-off, don't they? So that could make sense.
Yeah, I really don't know, but those are my guesses. Again, I would have not guessed them to do season 3 with Persuader. I would not have guessed them to do that in a month of Sundays. I would have never thought they were going to do that one, especially after the backlash that they got for season 2. Season 2, I did predict that they were going to do Bad Luck and Trouble, but I was totally wrong for what they did with season 3. And, season 1 being Killing Floor obviously just makes sense. Now, this would be a far-fetched one, but I would kind of like them to do The Enemy, because if they did The Enemy, that first Reacher novel in the chronological order, that could be a good thing. Just instead of these little quick flashbacks that they've done in the other series, the entire book being set in the past, or the entire season being set in the past. That could be really cool. I don't know if they'll do that though. And then how would they do that with, is Richardson still young enough for them to play off for him being 5 or 10 years younger? I don't know.
That does lead me to my next question, because they've done over 30 books. I don't think they can do 30 series. They'll probably have to take some books that are a bit more different and that totally the same, with Reacher being a hitchhiker running into more trouble, and adapt them. And I don't know. I think they might have just one more series left. I don't know, but it looks like that could be the case. Unless,
well, I mean, if it keeps doing well, they'll keep doing it. I mean, hell, they had didn't Supernatural run for like 20 seasons or some crazy shit? Or am I wrong about
again,
I don't know. I don't know Supernatural very well.
Yeah, I think because the actors were maybe in their 30s, but Alan Ritchson was in his 40s when he did the. He's still in his 40s now, and he was when he did the first series. So they probably could still do something with him in his 50s, but I don't know if they'll go that far. But we'll have to see.
Well, I promise that I will do a special update when I do know for sure. But I think they're kind of keeping it close to the vest. They very well may do Without Fail, which is the first Neely appearance, the Secret Service one, just because it's a very simple story. And if they're going to be simultaneously doing a Neely spinoff at that time, that would probably make the most sense. I hope they don't, but it's not the worst one to adapt. So I won't be completely, butthurt if they do that. So anyway, yeah, thank you for sticking with me through this, and thank you for the audience. If there's something more I can elaborate on, without being too pedantic with how these books go, sorry for the 2 or 3 books that I haven't read, but for fuck's sakes, there's 30 of them, man. Give me a break. I think for what they are, and again, the short story thing doesn't blow my skirt up. I'm not a short story guy. Sorry about that, but I mean, a lot of these are really worth it. There's like 5 bangers that are really good, like Echo Burning, Without Fail is a good one. Some of the ones they've adapted. And for those who haven't watched the show but have read the books, if you're wondering about One Shot, which is the Jack Reacher movie, and Never Look Back, those have both been alluded to in season 2 of this show, so that those events have already happened. So you're not going to see Richardson redoing what Tom Cruise has already done. So like I said earlier at the outset of this, you're going to have to just kind of headcanon that, if when you watch the movie or think about the movie, that's Alan Richardson, because those events have happened within the timeline of the series thus far, even though technically it's an anachronism, because they kind of couldn't have, because they're out of order, but it is what it is. But anyway, you got anything you want to add real quick or say anything?
No, just enjoy the rest of your night, everybody.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. And remember, when you are reading a book or a novel or playing a game or a graphic novel, always think about what adaptation it could turn into, and just remember to consider the source. Consider the source, it's all the same.